Hey humans, how's it going? Susan Ruth here. Thanks for listening to another episode of Hey Human Podcast. This is episode 409 and my guest is Fernando Pullum. Fernando is the founder of the Fernando Pullum Community Arts Center. He's provided over 1,200 students with free music and the arts instruction. 100% of his students graduate with a high school diploma. That's incredible. And I met Fernando at a gathering and was able to hear him perform his trumpet. He's a phenomenal talent. It was really something. And in his fame and success and ability and all that, he has, turned around and lifted up so many students and is nurturing generation after generation of musicians. His first gigs himself were with the Temptations, the Four Tops. He's played and worked with legendary artists across multiple genres, and he's the recipient of the first AFA Chaplain Cragen Belafonte Humanitarian Award. A victim of gun violence himself, he has since done everything in his power to keep the next generation safe and inspired by music. He's a lovely man. I really enjoyed speaking with him. I'm excited for you to hear this episode. General stuff, I'm on Patreon at Susan Ruthism. Check out heyhumanpodcast.com for links and to learn more about my guests and the show. Check out SusanRuth.com to learn more about me and my other artistic endeavors. Follow Susan Ruthism and Hey Human Podcast on social media and find my music on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever you get your music. Rate, review, and subscribe to Hey Human Podcast on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. And again, patreon.com/SusanRuthism. Help keeps Hey Human ad-free. Yay! All right, thank you for listening. Be well, be kind, be love, be music. Here we go. Fernando Pullum, welcome to Hey Human.
Hi, Susan. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we met at a party and I loved your energy. And when we got to learning about what you do and your life's work really intrigued me. So I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's dig in. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? What shaped you as a kid into adulthood?
Well, I grew up in Chicago. I was on the west side, which, contrary to what people say, is actually the worst side. As for minorities, people always want to hang that on the south side. But if you move to the south side, when I was a kid, you were actually moving up. But I grew up in terrible circumstances in that both my parents were drug addicts. My mom, unfortunately, was a prostitute to earn money to buy drugs. I saw people murdered as a kid. Luckily for me, I had an incredible great-grandmother, so I lived with her for the majority of the time. But like everyone, like I would say, most kids, they want to be with their parents or both parents. But I want to be with my mother. But, it was the best that I would be with my great-grandmother.
Did you understand what was going on with your parents when you were young? Did you have a realization or was it kept shielded from you?
I had no understanding because, I have a younger sister she's 2 years younger than I. And, but it was so terrible because we would be left, for days at a time with no food. And I was a 2-year-old with an infant sister and locked in an apartment. So those things were absolutely deplorable. But what my mom did for me, she would tell me I was going to be important one day. And that stuck with me. And also a huge motivation for me was my mom's brilliance. Like she was super, super smart. And I just wanted to work hard. So when people that put her down, I can say, and they would say, "Hey, Fernando, you're incredible." And whatever positive thing they would say about me, I would be able to say, "My mom is better." And that's what so she really did inspire me to try to represent her in the best way possible.
Was she able to get clean eventually?
I don't really think that people who are addicted totally get clean sometimes. And oftentimes they find another addiction. Like she went from heroin to alcohol. It was always something. And then but in her last years of life, it went down to sugar. And so if you can pick your poison, I'll take sugar. It's none of those things are really healthy for you, but sugar is a lot less harmful than heroin. So
Yeah, yeah. I suppose that's a good point. Although sugar is pretty bad for you. Were you already having an inclination toward music from a young age?
no, I was actually on the violent side. Because it was a defense mechanism because if someone saw my mom and they did see my mom but they didn't know she was my mom, they said kids would make fun of her at my school, but if they discovered that was my mom, I just wanted to let them know, if you tease me, you're gonna get beat up. Sixth and seventh grade, we used to make guns out of car antennas. We called them zip guns. We used to body the antenna to put the uh, to put the bullet in, and we would use rubber band, a piece of wood, and a sharpened coat hanger, and we would make a gun out of those. So I had that. I mean, I was just really, 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 really on the bad side.
That's incredibly creative and industrious, though. I do want to point that out.
But I mean, that's what everyone did. And no, there was no car in my neighborhood with an antenna because they telescope, and that lower part of the telescoping antenna fit a 22 bullet perfectly.
And that could projectile? That's impressive.
All you gotta do is, I mean, it's a firing pin. You hit the back of the bullet. That's what a hammer and a gun does. So we couldn't afford guns. And when I could afford a gun, I think I was in seventh or eighth grade, I bought a gun.
Wow.
But it was so old. I spent $5 for it, and you could see the bullets on the side of the gun, in the chambers because it's all rusted out. But it was just like that was a totally an aggressive dif- inferiority complex. But then when I made the sound on the horn when I was younger, even younger, and everyone went crazy. And I just remembered that. Like, say, man, that applause made me feel so good. So when someone walked into my classroom, the band director walked into my classroom, I said, like, you say, anyone want to play? I said, me, it's got to be me. And I was flipping over, and I was a little tiny kid. And so the instrument that he gave me was a baritone. I play trumpet now, but he gave me a baritone, which was bigger than I was. And he started feeling like, man, this is ridiculous. I can't have this little kid playing baritone. So say, take a small horn and play that. But I just wanted to be able to play, and just playing music. It made me equal to other people. It made me whole. First of all, I had a place to escape,
Mm.
and then it leveled the playing field for me. It didn't matter that my mom was a prostitute. It didn't matter that I didn't have money. If I could play a song, that's what they applauded that. And so that took me totally away from any violence that I was heading towards. And I said,
Mhm.
man, I'd rather play a concert. I can't get in trouble. I want to go play a gig, because I was playing gigs when I was 13. Because I don't know how this works. They would take me into a club through the back door and put me on the stage to play a gig. And I'm thinking, like, I'm still 13. I mean, it's obvious that I'm a little bit. I never was I kid you not, I was a small 13. Like in my junior year in high school, they used to tease and call me poor nine though because I was so small. So it didn't really fool anyone, but they just turned their backs and then turned their head and allowed me to play, and I made some money. But I just felt really like a whole person. I wasn't ridiculed. It didn't, I was my own person, and it didn't matter that my mom was a prostitute at all, or my dad. And I really didn't really know my dad well at all.
Did you start to understand that that could be a way out of your circumstances that you were in with your family, even though you had a support system with your grandmother and your great grandmother? Did you think, music is how I get out of where I am?
No, because they told me you got to get a real job.
Oh God, not the real job. No.
You can't, no one really thinks that you can make any money playing an instrument or in the arts, especially then, because people were like, they worked, they worked in the factories and things like that. So, and my great grandmother was a maid. So, I mean, so they did not see those opportunities, but I was watching Elvis Presley. This is weird. I say, my grandmother, my great grandmother, she was determined that I was not going to end up like my mom. So man, it's her rules were over the top. I couldn't dance. I couldn't listen to like secular music, and I was looking at Elvis Presley gyrate on television, enjoying it. And my great grandmother said, "You like that? You want to be like that, huh?" No, no, I don't want to be like, no, not at all. But in my heart, I said, I want to be like Elvis Presley. And then James Brown came on the scene. I want to be like James Brown, with
Yeah.
things,
What happened as you got a little bit older and had a little bit more dominion over yourself? Where did the tide start to turn?
Well, I actually, in Chicago, they actually tested you to enter high school. And they had like the general high school. They don't do it now, but it was really pretty a bad system, labeling kids like that early, And so the general high schools were people that they thought were not, they were the lower scores. And then they had a vocational school where you picked a trade. And then they had a technical high school where they thought that you could be college material. So my mom just happened to be studying for the GED in my 8th grade year, and I was my mom's study partner. So I had a high score because I basically would have passed out of high school because I was helping her prepare for her GED. I qualified for the technical school, which was Lane High School in my neighborhood, but my grandmother was the maid for kids who went to that school. It's a predominantly white school. So she made up an excuse, you can't go to that school. It's too far. So, but I ended up going to a vocational high school that was even further away on the south side. I used to ride the bus at least for an hour just to get to school, and I would do that. It turned the tide for me when they had a good band there, and I just wanted to play. And I was, like I said, I was playing when I was 13, playing in clubs, but I never thought it would be a profession or anything like that. I never envisioned even going to college. But then I did get scholarship offers, and my mom was bragging about it. So I flunked high school on purpose. I just didn't want her to have the satisfaction of saying that she nurtured a kid that went to college.
I see.
I mean, that's some of the dumb things. I see kids do that today just to get some revenge to someone. They would injure themselves. They'd cut off their arm if it hurt someone more.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, but then, and my mom's never heard me play ever, other than like practicing at home. My father never heard me play. The only people who've heard me, I had some relatives to show up when I received my master's degree from the University of Michigan. My great grandmother, who only heard me when I was in 7th grade. And then she heard me in 7th grade, one concert, and then she heard me when I received my master's degree because she came to my master's recital.
Why did you not want your mom to hear you play?
I did want her to hear me play. She just never had time for me.
Got it.
And I teach a bunch of kids that parents don't have time for them. I do have some incredible parents, but I have some parents that are absent.
Yeah, and you know what? It makes a big deal. It's a huge deal to not have your parents come to special big events in your life. I know that because my parents were always busy or working or whatnot, and I still remember, oh, hey, my parents didn't come to my high school graduation. They didn't come to my college graduation. They didn't come when I got that award or this award, and I'm a grown woman now, but that stuff still resonates.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think we just have You don't get out of this world without having some scar tissue,
For sure.
and I didn't go to any graduations until my master's degree because I didn't want my mom to show up.
Oh, interesting.
And then when I received my master's, my grandmother, who I kind of thought, man, is she like reading my mind? She just knew how I was feeling. I didn't have to say a word. She just said, hey, you don't have to invite your mom. I said, like, wow, I never thought I can go to a ceremony and just not invite my mom. So that's what I did. I didn't invite my mom. And then I went to my master's graduation.
Were your undergrad and master's in music education or music straight up?
My undergrad was in music education. Then my master's was in trumpet performance.
Mm. And then what happens?
Well, there was one guy who believed in me. How I ended up at the University of Michigan. I went to visit a friend at a commuter school in Chicago, at Chicago State University. And he told the band director, hey, this guy can play. So the band director said, let me hear you play. His name is Marcellus Brown. So I played for Marcellus, and he said, oh, I can get you in here. I'll give you a scholarship. It's $200. And I said, okay. I mean, I was playing and I was out, and also I was working at a shoe store, and they made me the assistant manager at a shoe store when I was 18. So I was able to hustle some money up and stuff like that. So I said, well, I'm making way more than $200, but this guy is like, he's been nice to me. He cares about me. So I went to Chicago State, and then and I was on the honor roll, and I was playing first trumpet for him. And he said, well, this is not challenging enough for you. Let me take you up to the University of Michigan. And I looked at the cost, and I'm not going to waste my time filling out this application. So one day he made me fill out the application. And then the University of Michigan sent me to Interlochen for one summer, and that was their music camp. And I practiced for like over 8 hours a day, and I got into the school. So then upon graduation from Michigan, I told my Marcellus, hey, I want to give you $1,000. Because when I was in school, I was playing, like I played with like Dave Brubeck and the Spinners. I was playing in Detroit quite often. And a lot of people don't know, you don't need a college degree to teach at a college. So when I was in school, even as an undergrad, I was teaching at some of the community colleges that were in the area in the Ann Arbor area. So I had some money, and $1,000 was a lot of money back in the 80s. So I was going to give him $1,000. He said, no, just help 10 people. And I said, okay. And I started thinking about that. I said, if I help 10 people, and those people help 10 people, and so on and so on and so on, we can make some profound changes in the world that we live in today. So that's what I decided to do. And so I opened a community center. I teach currently like 1,200 kids, like free performing arts classes. And some of the teachers in my area are former students. And I get to play with those kids too. I play with in the horn section for Bruno Mars, and it was me and 3 of my former students. I did Whitney Houston's last concert, and she came in and she was joking, and everyone's laughing, and I was tearing up. They looked at me like, what's wrong with this dude? Like, why are you crying? And the guy sitting next to me was one of my former students. He was playing better than me. And I said, this is like incredible. And I used to yell at this dude all the time. And now he's sitting up there working as a musician, and it's like some of the things I see, it's just phenomenal. I believe we have now about 8 Grammy winners, former students are 8 Grammy winners. So, and it's just, you never think that's going to happen. And all I personally want to do is like give a voice to people who have been discarded like I was, and let people see them and just level the playing field. Because if you open the door just a little bit, if people are hungry enough, they're going to push through and they're going to survive. They're going to find a way to be successful. We played in Vail, Colorado, and they wrote an article in the newspaper about the poor kids from Los Angeles are here to play. And the kids were devastated because all they want to do, they just want to be musicians. They don't want to be thought as poor and or any disadvantage because they're not a disadvantage. They just haven't had opportunities yet. I had to sit them in a gymnasium. I said, "Well, how many guys have witnessed someone get shot?" A lot of hands went up. How many people witnessed a fight? I said, went down a list of just things that we see on a daily basis sometime in the hood. And I had to say at the end of that, all the hands were going up. Everyone's hand went up on something. And I said, well, some of these people have never seen any of that at all in their lifetime. So that's why they think that you're disadvantaged because they haven't experienced any of that. And they kind of got it then, but then it makes you want to just play better because even though my mom was a drug addict, but she's not me.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I love that how you said it's not disadvantage, it's just a lack of opportunity. They're two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you had the idea, the brainchild for opening the Community Arts Center, did you face a lot of opposition or was it pretty easy to just say, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to build this thing? Because it's turned into an epic place. Kids come through there was it 1,200 kids a year come through there, and it's wonderful. But I can't imagine it was necessarily easy to begin that journey.
It was.
It was? That's great.
It was because, people will help you if you have some credibility.
Mm.
At that point, I had maybe 20 years of 100% graduation already, like 100%. And I had.
As a teacher, you mean?
As a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had, Stevie Wonder coming to play with my students, Herbie Hancock, George Clinton, Jackson Brown, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. People who were just coming to the hood and just playing with us. We played the Hollywood Bowl. We played in Cuba twice. We went to Spain. People want to make sure what they're spending their time and money on is worthwhile for them. And we just try to make sure that it's worth their while. They can see the benefits of their dollars and their labor. And, I don't write spectacular reports. And to be honest with you, I don't really like money. I call it like blind checks. When someone just sends me a check and they're not really monitoring what happens, I prefer not to really have that money. I'll take it. But I prefer that people who send me a check actually come and see how their money is being spent, how that, like you're getting more than your money's worth. You see these kids that are defying all types of odds. You see them academically being successful. You see them being respectful human beings. You see them like feeding the homeless. You see them going to convalescent homes and playing for senior citizens. When you see those things, say, man, I write another check. See, that blind check could be one time. Out the guilt. They say, man, it's Christmas, and let me do something really nice this year. Boom, and that's it. I'll never see that person again. But I like to multiply that check and sustain a relationship. And I don't like to take money from people I don't like either. Yeah, all money is not good money for real. Because I have a personal connection with people that write checks for me. Those are my friends. Like for real, I can't be phony. I'm not a salesman. If you come and see the work, it sells itself.
This is what's so frustrating about cutting arts in schools, cutting music programs in schools, because it's clear that it makes a huge difference to have those programs available. Let's talk a little bit about healing, how you see the students in their journeys as they come into their own with their instruments and that building of profoundness and understanding that they do matter and they do have worth and they are contributing and it is important and they're important. And that's a hard one thing, I think, for a kid anyway, in the best of circumstances. What are some of the things that you've seen?
Well, I have different ways to approach it. First of all, I never have pity parties. All right. I don't like sit there and we know what you look around the room, everyone's been injured. Even my affluent friends who grew up in like, there's no perfect environment.
Mm-mm.
I had a guy, he had millions and millions of dollars, and he broke down one day and he said, man, I don't know if my dad loves me. And I said, whoa, that's an important element. Love for everybody across the board. That's like it's something we all need. But I just try to change the dialogue with my students. Like I have a lot of kids. I'm having 100% graduation rate, and it's simple. All you had to do is say, instead of saying, "Hey, are you going to college?" Like it's optional. You say, "What college are you going to?" It's wait a minute. Let me. It's a matter of actually believing people and believing in them and having high standards and high expectations for people. And when you have those things, people feel the love. And then if they have people outside themselves that love them too, it makes them you feel you can't help but feel good. Like for me, like when I was growing up, I had a woman that told me, "You're gonna be the president one day." And I said, "Why she saying that? I just had a fight. You gotta be the president." So even the worst circumstances for some of the kids, you got to give a hug sometimes. Like man, what's going on today? You seem a little bit different. You're paying attention. And then people say, like, you're paying attention to me, you notice. So I see a lot of people heal in those ways, and then give them the opportunity, to express their pain in art. Or say, let's write a song about that situation. And then, and it's so therapeutic. I wrote about it. I got off my chest. I hear some people say, you thinking about something too much in the middle of the night, get up and write about it and go back to bed. Or if someone angers you, write that email, just don't push send. And then it just lifts off of you, and like we make film, you write a song, and it's really, really uh, healing.
How many students do you think in total have come through your doors thus far?
Oh my God. I've been teaching since '84. I know half of Los Angeles. I mean, I have no privacy. I swear. I mean, it works out good. Sometimes, it's nothing like the worst place in the world, I think, is like going to the DMV. I walked in one day and the crowd was like massive. And I said, I can't be here all day. I got a lot of stuff to do. And then I heard from behind the counter, hey, Mr. Pullum, you don't have to wait. Come over here. Say, yeah. Or like going to the airport and the TSA say, hey, Mr. Pullum, just come up to, I know half of Los Angeles. And some of my friends don't like it. My kids growing up didn't like it at all. They said, because someone be calling me, I saw your son at Manchester, Norman. I, I know half of Los Angeles for real. And the beauty, like the students I have now, a lot of them, a great number of them are former students' kids.
I love that.
And that's to me, that's the highest compliment I can have from someone. It's like you trust me with your kid, then I must have done something well with you that you turn your most valuable possession over to me. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I understand your daughter is an actor.
Yeah, yeah. She has a show coming out on Prime.
That's so exciting.
She's been working since she was 4. She, did TV commercials. Then she's 12. She's toured as Nala in The Lion King. But the beauty of all that for me is like she has her feet on the ground. Like when she get off the stage as Nala, my daughter's like super, super shy off stage and humble. And she said, "Oh, Dad, oh no, don't say nothing about Lion King when I'm off stage." I said, "Okay, this is what I want you to do. However, when you get off stage and you see some kids that look like you, because a lot of kids don't have $100 to go see Lion King, I want you to go up and say something to them to make them feel special." And she would always do that. And then she taught class for me also. She's my assistant also. So she had, and then one of her interviews, like she's also in the Orville with Seth MacFarlane. She's the Topa character. And
Orville?
yes.
Oh, okay.
And then she was Will Smith's daughter and the oldest daughter in Emancipation. So, but she's really, now she'll probably get mad at me, but just she hears this interview saying, hey, so you're bragging, don't say anything. I'm not bragging, I'm proud.
I
But
asked, so it's not bragging if I ask.
but but she's really, what I like about her is that she's grounded and she doesn't take that too seriously, because she's been around like celebrity all her life pretty much. But she doesn't get caught up. Oh, that's just such and such. She don't get like, man, that's a special person. No,
Yeah, it's to her, it's just a person, which is true. She's not wrong. Everyone's just a person. They just do interesting things or maybe extraordinary things, but they're still just a person. How many children do you have?
I have three.
Are they musical as well?
No.
Okay.
My two oldest kids are not interested in the arts, but my granddaughter is also. But I believe they'll do it. But sometimes you're too close to it. Like, I had my son open. He was opening the show. You had to play drums to open the show that Prince was doing, right? And so he's like, you get to hang out on backstage with LL Cool J. It's like there's a lot to take in as a kid. It's like, it's a lot. I think that was too much too soon.
Well, Prince, especially.
I love Prince. Of course, I love Michael Jackson. I love James Brown, Stevie Wonder, those iconic musical figures that just, I don't know what the world would be without their voices.
Yeah, I agree with you. What happens next, and where are you developing it? What are you working on?
Well, I'm actually working on a fundraiser. I have to raise funds for what we do because like I said, we're 100% free. So, Jackson Brown is like my brother, like really, really, really close. I've been hanging out with him for years, and I became friends with Jackson because I know who in the heck he was. Like, I joke around and say, man, I knew James Brown, not Jackson Brown. Like, he came. He wanted to play a concert with some kids for an organization, and he came up. And he's no entourage. It's just in the hood in South Central LA with a guitar in his hand, no pretense. And I just like, it's Jackson Brown. Like, I don't know you. But immediately fell in love with the songs because they tell great stories.
Oh, such a great storyteller.
And so we played, it was like Sidney Poitier and Quincy Jones, and they actually asked me to speak, which I am not a speaker at all. I'm terrified. So we're playing with Jackson Brown, and they said, well, you're going to go between Quincy and Sidney Poitier with speech. I said, oh my God.
No pressure.
I mean, I used the restroom in like the 15-minute span, maybe like 10 times. I just felt like I was about to explode. You get in the restroom, you'd be like, not even a drip. I was so terrified. And then after that, I went out to a movie screening with Jackson, and paparazzi would take this picture. I said, like, what is the significance of this cat? Because he's like so down to earth, you would never, ever suspect that he's a celebrity. And that's what I love about him the most.
Yeah.
So, but I have Jackson playing with us for this upcoming concert. He's done it a number of times, and so has John Mayer. I had Michael McDonald and one of our board members, Cy Smith, who I love tremendously. Eric Idle has done it. Aloe Black. But this year it's going to be Jackson. I'm praying and hoping that I can get to Common. We wrote the song anyway. I believe that line and feel that field of dreams you build, and then they will come. So we learned the common song and we recorded it. I'm gonna try to go around the corners and the back doors of underground above his head and try to get to him and see if he would be gracious enough to and kind enough to play it with my students. And then I met Kevin Bacon, who I love as an actor. But years ago I played with Ella Fitzgerald, and we opened for that opened for Dizzy Gillespie one time. And as a young musician, you it's uncomfortable to say, can I take a picture with you? Because other guys looked at, man, you're a groupie. Look at you. Get out. Be a pro. So after missing those opportunities to take a picture with Ella and Dizzy, I said, man, if I see anyone else I really like, I'm taking a picture. I do not care. And I saw Kevin Bacon. I said, Kevin, I love your work, man. I want a picture, you know. And then he was cool with it. And then I said, how can I keep in contact with you? Then what's your number? The next thing you know, I get a text, and it's his number, cell phone number, and email, and it said, hey, this is, and it's like 2 slices of bacon in the text. And so he's like one of the nicest people. And there's so many great artists that lend their voices, their names to great causes. Because I used to tell Jackson, man, they're not helping me. People are not helping me. They're helping me because I know you. So thanks for standing next to me. And I think the same would be true with Kevin. So I have him, and then we're doing. Then I have some of the cast members from Ain't Misbehaving. I did that show recently here, and 2 gentlemen, Dietrich Bonner and James Tolbert, they're jumping on board. They recorded a Fats Waller song with us, so it's going to be really entertaining.
And when is that?
It's going to be the fall. But because I'm delaying it a bit because it'll be done much sooner. But I just had one last fall, and people said, "Wait a minute, he comes begging again." I'm not donating to that. So we just give people a chance to resupply the money that's in their wallet, so they can help a good cause.
I think that's a great idea. How can people who want to come to see the show? How can they find the info?
It's going to be online. They can follow our website, which is pullumcenter.org, PULLUM.org.
Pullumcenter.org. I met Jackson the night that I met you, and I agree. He was very down to earth and sounds as good as he ever did. And I got to see you perform, and it was also stunning and beautiful. I feel it inside and all outside of me at the same time. And when you listen to music, that's what you want. You want it to become a part of you. It was really lovely to see you perform.
Thank you. Yeah, you know what? I had to get the discipline to take a compliment because I was saying that I'm really hypercritical. I remember when I went out here and I was playing at some of the churches, and some of the women come up to me after the older ladies, they say, young man, that was a great job. I said, well, you know what? I was a little bit flat over here. And I started telling them everything I did wrong. And they'd be looking at me like,
we all do it. I get it.
So I'm just going to say thank you. But whenever I'm playing on stage at any time, doing anything, I'm nervous. I'm terrified, especially in that type of crowd when it's like industry people.
Yeah.
It's a really humbling experience for me.
Yeah, it was a big crowd for sure. There were some interesting folks in the room. I think you're wonderful. I think what you're doing is wonderful. I'm glad you're on the planet and that you're doing the things that you're doing. And I know, the Help Tent people, you're helping thousands of people. And to your point, that begets the people that they're going to help. And if you think about it as that little ripple of water in the ocean or the drop of water that becomes the ocean, that's you. That's your work.
Well, thank you for that. But it's all about work. I tell Marcellus Brown, man, you inspired me. I give him credit. Every time I see him, I have to say, man, thank you for giving me a voice. Thank you for raising my self-esteem, and everyone else that has ever helped me, because you don't have to. So, but I appreciate it. I appreciate being on your show and you taking the time to talk to me.
Oh, it's my honor and pleasure. And I'm sure your mom and your great grandma and your grandma and everyone, and your dad, they're all looking down and proud as proud can be.
I hope so.
This planet is a tough planet, and we all are doing the best we can. I say it all the time on this show. And I think it's easy to judge people for the choices they make, but the fact of the matter is, any one of us could be in any one of our shoes. It just depends on where we were born, who we were born to, where our circumstance, and all of that. And the more we remember that we're all each other, the better off we're going to be.
Amen.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm going to put links on heyhumanpodcast.com so that people can find you easily and learn more about what you're doing. And who knows, maybe support it as well. And just thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to send you a couple of videos from the studio session so you can see what's going on.
Oh, I love that. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye. Rate, review, and subscribe to Hey Human Podcasts where you get your podcasts, wherever that may be. Thanks. Bye.